Today we're taking a look at Tokaido Duo, obviously a follow-up to the original Tokaido, in which you would play as a traveller crossing one of the most beautiful roads in Japan. Whilst travelling, you'll meet people, you will trade, you will buy, you will paint, you will do all of these activities, and at the end of the day, it's the person that has the most enriched experience in Japan. Now, personally, I'm a massive fan of the culture there. I've always wanted to visit. There's so many places I want to visit in Japan. Lucky me, I managed to talk my girlfriend into our wedding in a few years, the honeymoon being in Japan, so I am very excited to visit. I would like to go more. And if I wasn't such a homey person and sort of my family around me and that kind of thing, I would love to live out there. But that has nothing to do with this review. Now you've had my life story. Tokaido Duo is similar to Tokaido. Obviously, it's a lot smaller, a lot easier. There's less options, as you would expect in a smaller game. There's price differences. We will go through how to play it, comparisons to Tokaido, and a review to finish with. First thing I will say which caught me, in Tokaido Duo, you don't go through Tokaido, you go through Shikoku, which is a different place, and I don't really understand the title. I know what they want to keep it in the same series, which does make sense. Obviously, coming out with a brand new title, it's not going to get some of the interaction that Tokaido would. It just feels strange though. Where Tokaido retail would probably run you around £40, this is going to be around 18, so it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot smaller. It takes around 20 minutes. It can take a little longer. Obviously, the first game will take a bit longer. Tokaido was more 40-ish, 40 to 50 anyway, so it's about half the size, it's about half the price, it's about half the time to play. But we will compare some of the better parts and worst parts in the review. Let's head to the table and take a look how it plays. So here we go, let's take a look at Tokaido Duo. Like I mentioned, very small box, not much to it on the front. Gorgeous art as always. I will say about this game, it really does hit the art out of the park, if it's not really a saying. We've got the rules book, but you don't need that if you're watching this video because I'm going to go through it all with you. We've got the playboard, which the crease through the middle is kind of unfortunate, but you can't really help it. It's a small, compact game. It's what to expect. Again, very nice looking art, very simple to play, I think. So we're going to pop that there. And then we've got the inside. So we've got the tokens, a few bags of those. We've got a linen bag, or not good with my materials. It's definitely a bag though. And then, as we mentioned before, these are what I already punched out. Same things here. Some of them were absolute nightmares. You can see even just on this random one I pulled out, just bits of cardboard that won't come off. Some are a lot worse than that. They've ripped as I've taken them off. So I do think it's worth mentioning that, just because, yeah, it's kind of disappointing for any game really. I know this one's quite cheap, but like I mentioned, you do get a lot of stuff actually in the box. We are going to take all this out so we can start playing. So to set the game up, you're going to place the board in between you and the other player. Each player is then going to choose green or purple. In this case, I'll probably choose purple. Pass that over to the other player. From there, each player is going to get one of two of these. So you're going to get a pilgrim each. You'll receive a merchant each. And finally, you will receive an artist each. Once you're settled with that, you're going to need your 3 meeples of your colour. These 2 pegs here, which are going to go into your character board of your pilgrim, so it's going to go obviously into slot 1 and slot 1 here. Then finally you're going to shuffle up all your paintings and put them face down onto your painting board. Next, take your 8 boutique tokens, and these are going to be shuffled up and placed on the matching markers on the board. Again, just randomize them as best you can, go around and place them onto the board. You're then going to take your 26 wear tokens and place them into your bag, and hopefully not drop any like I have there, and give them a good shuffle. Next, take your 3 wave tokens, randomize them as much as you can. They've got different sides, just flip them around and then pop them onto the board in any way you see fit. Place a hot spring token where it's shown on the board. Make sure you've got the gold slabs, which are these things here, and also the coins here, somewhere near the board. I will empty these out in a moment. Place the 3 dice somewhere near the board so they're accessible for both players. And finally, you're going to want to place your meeples on the board in their corresponding spots. I'm going to pick this up because it's the easiest to do without messing things up. You'll see here the merchant has a symbol. Take your merchant meeple, find that symbol on the board on your side, and place the merchant in his spot. You're going to do the same for each character, so then the painter is going to go here. And finally, the pilgrim is going to go here. The other player will do the same on their side, and then you're ready to go. In the most simple way, there are 3 steps to a player's turn. You're going to roll the 3 dice. In this case, let's say it's me. Not necessarily on the board, as you could end up knocking stuff over just for the purpose of this. So I'm going to pick up what we've rolled here. So in this case, we've got 1 merchant, 2 for the artist, and 3 for the pilgrim. That's how far we're going to move the characters. Now, if I'm player A, I'm only going to choose one of these. So for example, if I chose this, we would move the pilgrim 3 spaces, 1, 2, 3, and then we would get to do whatever our tile says. So in this case, it's a red tile. So we are going to get to advance this 1. Those 2 remaining dice are then passed to player B. They make a choice between them, and then we get the final dice. And that's that part of the game, honestly. It's very simple. Let's take a look at what some of the tiles do and how we can score points. It's worth noting, when a player uses a die, they must move the matching character the exact amount. So in this case where I rolled a 3, I couldn't choose to go 2 because I want to do this instead. He has to move the full amount. You also may use the area you land. So I could choose not to take this for whatever reason, as it is an optional effect. A few notes: you can only move your own characters, so you can't choose to move your opponents. You can also not move through the same space twice in a single move. Probably isn't applicable to the pilgrim, but maybe some of these characters that can move through different areas, it's slightly more likely. So let's go through how the characters actually move. So we've got the artist over here. I'm just going to pick them up and show you. So we've got the artist meeple here. Obviously you can see his little paintbrush. You can see he's currently in this position and he's fallen over. He is going to move between these orange lines into different areas to paint these incredible pictures. Now here's where you can actually combo a few things. So for example, let's say our merchant was here. We had our pilgrim and artist all in the same area. When the artist is in here, they can choose to paint. Now, because there's 3 of them, you reveal as many face down painting tiles from your artist board as there are other characters in your area, which does include the stations and mountain towns surrounding it. You can also choose to gift a painting. If the icon of the arrival area matches the icon shown on the topmost, leftmost revealed tile of your artist board, you may gift that painting tile by removing it from your board and putting it back into the box. Now, if you are able to gift your last painting away, this will trigger the end game. So in this example, because we have all 3 characters in this area, we could actually do it 3 times. So we could choose to paint our top 3 paintings. So what you do is you flip them over, and they've all got slightly different graphics to them. What the artist would then need to do is get to the area represented by these. For example, we've got these 2 here. So once we're in that area, icons are matching, so we could gift a painting. As long as the top leftmost, in this case it does, matches the symbol we're on, we can gift the painting, which removes that painting and places it back into the box. As you can see, as you do that, it reveals more and more points as the artist moves around town, painting these beautiful images and then gifting them. If at any point you manage to do your last one after you've done all the others, you will trigger the end game. The merchant, as we mentioned before, is this one here and can only move along the orange trade routes. As you can see, there are 4 mountain towns in the middle, and if a merchant arrives at one of those, they can acquire some wares. Draw as many ware tokens from the bag as the mountain town you've stopped at allows you. So in this case, you can see here it would be 3. So you've got to shuffle up your bag and draw some tokens. So in this case, we would get 3. So annoying. That's what I'm talking about. Oh, and there goes the others. Let's try and rip that off. So in this case, we've got our 3 wares. They would go onto our merchant board. As you can see here, we can't actually carry that many. So if you would take some and you don't have space, you would then have to decide what to replace. If you don't want to replace any, then they just go back. Something that might be worth note, both merchants can be in the same mountain town at once. If our merchant visits one of the 8 coastal towns, as you can see here, the boutique token would mean we could sell these, if we had any, for 3 coins each. If you ever have 10 coins, you're going to get one of these gold slabs, which will go under here. As you can see, you get more and more victory points as you go. If you ever fill all 6, that again will trigger the end game. Finally, the pilgrim moves clockwise around the island. This one's slightly more complicated, but still very simple. There are 5 different stations he can visit. He can visit a coastal town, which he immediately gains the number of coins shown on the boutique token linked to that town. He can visit a temple, which will advance our marker here.
You can visit a garden, which will advance the marker here. You can visit a hot spring, which means we get to take this token. If in that case you do take it, just place it somewhere on your side so you know who has it, as your opponent can then steal it. The hot spring token allows you to use the die you just chose a second time, in which you get the move and action. Once you've used it, the hot spring token goes back, and once again it can be taken by you or your opponent. If you were to land here and you already have the hot spring token, nothing would happen. However, if your opponent landed here, they would steal this away and it would go over to them. Finally, the last place they can visit is the seashore. Choose any wave tile from the game board and place it on your matching character. Now you control the token, you benefit from one of 6 effects. So for example, if we were to take this one, this has got a +1, it's got some feet, and it goes onto our pilgrim. We'll just place it in the top corner of the character. All that means is when they're moving, you may choose to add 1 space more than a die result. Now again, this is May, so it just gives you more options on where you could land. Moments like this are where tactics come into the game slightly more, and are some of my more favourite moments and mechanics to the game. Just to go through the other options very quickly, this is the same, but it's -1, so if you rolled a 3, you could choose to go 2. Again, it is May, so you don't have to. This one here not only allows you to take an extra wear as the merchant, but also means you can carry an extra, as shown by this symbol here. This symbol means if you're selling stuff, you gain an extra coin per item. So for example, if we use this one where we gain 3 coins, we'd actually gain 4 if we're in control of this per one of these we sold. This one gives us a little more versatility. So when you gift, you need to be in the right tile. However, this one says if we've at least moved through the right tile on our turn, we can still activate that effect. And on the flip side of that, when we take the paint action, we can paint an extra painting. I should also mention the other endgame trigger would be if the pilgrim reached the 6th garden or the 9th temple. When any of these conditions are met, finish resolving any remaining dice rolled at the beginning of the turn, and when the turn is finished, each player adds up their victory points. The way it works, you multiply how many temples you've visited against your gardens. So in this case, let's say we've had a really bad game, we've got 2 and 1, we would score 2 victory points. Here, we would gain whichever we're up to. So in this case, we would only gain 5. If we were up to here, we had 4 golden slabs, we would get 26 victory points. And finally, we've got the artist. So in this case, we go to what's showing. So in this case, it would just be 4 victory points. The further down you go, the more victory points he's worth. Each player adds all of those points together, and whoever adds the most wins. If in case of a tie, it's actually the player who has more money at the end. If it's still a tie, both players share the victory. But that's Tokaido Duo. If you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below. But let's head back to me in the studio to take a look at what I thought of the game.
So that's how it plays. What do I think of the game? I think for the price, what you get in the box is actually really good. You get a board, you do get meeples and actual components, which I would just expect to get cards or cardboard. Nothing really substantial. So I do think for the price, it's good what you get. Obviously, it's very quick. It's very small and compact, so you can take it with you. You can play it very quickly, maybe on a train journey, or if you're traveling somewhere, you could take it camping or wherever you're going. I don't think it's too difficult to pack away and take with you, so that's definitely a plus. Now, there are a few drawbacks. I had this problem and I checked online on Board Game Geek just to see how other people interacted with it. The punch out, the cardboard punch outs, are probably the worst I've ever experienced in a board game. And going off the consensus online, that's not just me. These are really difficult to get out. I've had a ton of my tokens rip. I've had some not even be able to come out at all, and I've had to sort of cut and pull around them. It's just one of those quality of life things. You would hope more care was taken. I think when you have these cheaper games, it can always be some places are neglected. The cardboard and the game itself don't feel the best quality, but the art on them is gorgeous. You get a ton in the box for the price. So it's give and take. I can see where corners were cut. So I think it's going to come down to you and what's important in a game. It plays fun though. It's quick. It's kind of tactical. I'm not going to sit here and say it's a masterpiece and every decision has a massive impact on the game. At times it can feel like you're hamstrung and you can only choose one option when you want to do something else or try something else, but it can come down to luck. Decisions aren't always in your hand. They are, I mean, you do make a decision between like a couple of options, but sometimes it feels like the way you're going has already been decided. There's enough in there to enjoy it. There's enough tactical decisions and enough moments and big swings in gameplay that make it interesting. I think it's a good game, not a great game, but definitely one worth adding to the list. It's not going to go on my trade pile, so if that's enough of a compliment for you, Tokaido Duo might be the one for you. If not, maybe try out Tokaido. A lot more going on in it, a lot more decisions, a lot more tactics. But even then, it's quite a light game. It's very easy to learn. So I think this one's a toss-up. If you're looking for a two-player game to play with your other half or a friend, this might be the one for you. Otherwise, I'd say try something else like Tokaido. But that's my how-to and review. If this video has been any help, if you've got any questions, if you want to point out something maybe I got wrong, I mean, hopefully not, because I've gone through and through the rules, as I always do for these videos. If you want to see more tabletop stuff, we've got miniature stuff, board games, card games, make sure you're subscribed. That's all I've got for this video though, so I will catch you in the next one.